Would it make you the jerk for not speaking to my mom after I fainted? We'll get into that in a bit, but first, am I the jerk for refusing to change my daughter's name? My sister and I were raised by our stepmother and father. Our stepmother was very close to us and more of a mother than our actual mother has ever been. She passed away about 5 years ago after losing her battle to cancer. Her name was Leanne, and it was very important for me to honor her by naming my child after her. We selected the name Leanna in order to honor Leanne while being somewhat different and more modern. My sister had the same idea with wanting to honor Leanne and named her 2-year-old Lee. We told her that we chose the name Leanna for the child we were expecting. Sister is very upset because she said it clashes with her baby name choices. My sister is not currently pregnant but wanted to name her future daughter Anne or Anna as another way to honor Leanne. She thinks it would be stupid for her kids to be named Lee and Anna with a cousin named Leanna. I agree that would be confusing as we have a pretty close family and the kids would be seeing each other a lot. However, we had no clue that she wanted to do another honor name for a future kid. Going into this, we knew that Lee and Leanna are pretty similar names, but I thought they were different enough that it wouldn't be too weird or confusing. I do feel bad because she already had a baby name picked out for her future daughter, and we would somewhat be making it not able to be used. However, we were both close to Leanne, and I don't think she should be the only one who gets to use an honor name. At the end of the day, she can still name any future kids whatever she wants, and I have the same right. After thinking long and hard about it, we told her that we're still going to use the name. We want to honor Leanne, and no other names considered feel right for this baby. Sister has been making passive-aggressive comments since then. For example, we were out shopping with her and Lee picks out some kind of stuffed animal. Lee dropped it in the Walmart parking lot on the way back to the car. My sister quickly picks it up and hands it to him, saying, "Careful, buddy, she might want to steal that too." I'm pretty sure she was trying to imply that we stole a version of his name or something, but the whole interaction was pretty weird in my opinion. Adimnion commented, "NTA, there are 3 different names. It's bad enough when somebody tries to pull that 'you can't use that name because I might possibly maybe use it at some vague point in the future' crap. Never seen someone try to claim, 'you can't use any names that sound even remotely related to the one I want.' Though, that's a whole new level of entitlement. Careful, buddy, she might want to steal that too. Not stealing anything. You can name your kid anything you want, and they can name their kid anything they want. She might steal it. First come, first serve. You wanted it, you should have grabbed it sooner." Also, hi, my name is Brendan, and if you are enjoying these Am I the Jerk videos, it'd be great if you dropped a like or left a comment if you're listening to our podcast. That being said, our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to change my work schedule to accommodate my kid's mom's 1-month vacation, working less hours to be able to take my son to daycare? My kid's mother wants to go on a 1-month vacation to Morocco and is saying she's giving me ample time to make necessary adjustments to my schedule for that to happen. We've been broken up for going on 3 years. For this to happen, I would have to ask my employer to work 10-hour shifts, come in later, and have time to drop my son off to daycare. All for 1 month. I'll be taking a hit each week by 8 hours by doing so, equaling out to 32 hours that month. I have to struggle for her to go on a vacation, in other words. Or the alternative is she takes my son with her, who's only 4 years old. I don't like the idea of just the 2 of them being in an unknown country alone and not knowing what's going on with my son. Am I the jerk for refusing? Alpha Beta Cheetah commented, "White, you think she hasn't had to make sacrifices having to take your son to daycare every day and picking him up every night? It's 1 month. You're acting like you're the one being punished because you have to fulfill your parenting duties." Our next story is, am I the jerk for what I said to my aunt? I, 21, bought my cousin, 16, a romance novel as a birthday present. It's part of her favorite book series. My aunt took one look at the book cover, snorted, and said, "No way a fat girl like her gets a cute boy like him." My cousin looked down at her own body. She's always been self-conscious and confided in me that she wishes she were as slender as her sisters, my other cousins. Told me her mom/my aunt told her she should lose weight. She looked at me the way she does when she's at a loss for words and wants to help out. So I told my aunt, not everyone is shallow. My aunt got upset and my mom told me I should apologize and that there was no reason for me to imply that my aunt is shallow. A strange peg commented, "NTA is only shallow and ignorant people do not know that fat shaming never helped anyone, which is why bullies do it on purpose. So, OP, you actually chose the lesser of two words to mention, and you didn't actually call her shallow. Aunt saw a shoe that fit and put it on. Our next story is, am I the jerk for selling a desk chair I thought was no longer wanted? I recently moved into a new flat. The guy moving out told me he isn't moving into his new place for a few days and doesn't have any place to store his desk chair. Nothing fancy, I guess around $50. In the meantime. So naturally I told him he can leave it here for a few days and come get it when he's all moved in. 2 weeks later, he hadn't talked to me again, so I sent him a message to remind him the chair is still here. He said he will come pick it up the following morning. He didn't show up. He didn't even send a message to say he isn't coming or try to reschedule. About 2 months later, I sold the chair. The other day, 4 months since I moved in, and after over 3 months of no contact from the chair owner, he sent me a message asking when he can come pick it up. I told him the chair is gone. Since he hadn't talked to me for a long time, I assumed he doesn't want it anymore. The guy got mad and blamed me of stealing the chair and demanded I repay him. Obviously, I'm not going to do that. Anyway, am I the jerk? Comfortable C2454 commented, NTA. About 2 months later, I sold the chair. The other day, 4 months since I moved in, and after over 3 months of no contact from the chair owner, he sent me a message asking when he can come pick it up. I told him the chair is gone. Since he hadn't talked to me for a long time, I assumed he didn't want it anymore. The guy got mad and blamed me of stealing the chair and demanded I repay him. Obviously, I'm not going to do that. The chair was abandoned and you sold it. Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to be responsible for my parents' dogs while they're on vacation? I, 26-year-old male, am the oldest of 3 along with siblings, 22-year-old male and 18-year-old female, to my parents, 50s male and female. I got married this year and moved out to live with my now wife in May, but live only 15 minutes away from my parents. My 22-year-old male brother is away in college about 2 hours drive away. My 18-year-old female sister also just went away to college herself several states away, and so my parents are now empty nesters. My parents also have 2 dogs who are very high maintenance. They're extremely active dogs that require 2 walks, runs at the park per day to get their energy out, and they also go crazy when my mom is not home. When I've watched dogs in the past, I hardly get any sleep because the dogs are restless due to a change in their routine. In the past, when we've lived at home, it's not been much of a problem for one of us kids that lives at home to pick up the slack with the dogs if my parents are out of town. But my parents are going on a vacation for their anniversary in January for a week and have asked my brother and I to cover the responsibility of the dogs while they're gone. This would involve one of us walking the dogs twice daily and staying overnight so they don't get lonely or destroy anything. Because my brother lives over 2 hours away at school, he cannot realistically go to class and come and go home during the weekdays. Given that, the weekdays would be completely on me. I have a job that has an unpredictable schedule during the week. I might start early or end late on any given day, so it would be extremely hard for me to commit to the routine of walking the dogs twice a day. My wife and I also just got married and she works night shift as well as every other weekend. I do not want to leave my wife at home when she is home and go sleep at my parents' house just because of the dogs. I would basically not see her for almost a week because her night shift schedule and need to sleep in the day wouldn't allow her to come with me. And if she happens to be off over that weekend, then I do not want to be responsible for the dogs on the rare weekend that we're both available to do something together. Also, staying overnight at my parents' house would wreck my sleep schedule because the dogs would stay up all night due to the change in routine. I told my parents this reasoning and they told me I was a jerk because they felt that I was looking for reasons to get out of this instead of trying to make it work for their anniversary. They told me that I'm making this a bigger deal than it needs to be, but I find it ridiculous to ask me to leave my wife for a week to stay at their house for the dogs. Am I the jerk? Yup Coot commented, NTA. Your parents chose to have high-maintenance dogs, and they're responsible for their care when they go on vacation. It's not reasonable of them to expect you to disrupt your work, your family life, and your sleep schedule just to accommodate them. You're an adult with your own life and responsibilities. They've had plenty of time to plan this, and they should hire a dog sitter or use a boarding cervic. Options they should explore instead of guilt-tripping you. It's not selfish to set boundaries, especially if it disrupts your life. Just because you live nearby doesn't make you their default solution. If they can't see that, they're being inconsiderate, not you. Our next story is, am I the jerk for rejecting a gifted kitten 26 hours after my pet passed away? My girlfriend, 31-year-old female, and I, 30-year-old female, recently lost a beloved family member, our nearly 20-year-old cat. I've always said that when she passed, I might consider adopting elderly cats. I've had her since I was 10 and took over full-time care when I was 21. She passed away a week ago, and we've been in deep mourning ever since. The day after she passed, my dad knocked on our door. My girlfriend answered and asked why he was there. He said, "I just felt like giving you a hug." They hugged, and then she told me he was here. I hugged him too, and he said, "Your mom came down too." I said it was lovely of them to visit. That's when my mom walked through the entryway, smiling and holding a cat carrier. My girlfriend immediately looked concerned and asked, "You haven't?" I asked if they had brought down our other cat, but they said no. After this, I realized they were trying to gift us a kitten, the same breed as our recently passed cat. My girlfriend and I were both shocked and upset. I told them we appreciated the thought, but didn't want it. They asked if they could bring the kitten inside to use the litter box since it had been in the car for an hour. Reluctantly, we agreed, which we now regret. I didn't want the poor kitten to suffer because of this. They told us the kitten was only 8 weeks old, needed a home. They also mentioned it was already litter trained, all while placing it in the litter box. They said they thought we'd like it. I reiterated that while we appreciated the thought, it had only been just over a day since our cat passed. My mom chuckled at this. When I saw the tiny kitten trying to climb out of the litter box, I started crying. My girlfriend asked if I wanted to step into the other room to calm down. I went to get a drink and compose myself. Meanwhile, my girlfriend repeatedly asked them to take it and leave. Instead, they kept talking about how cute it was and tried to get her to hold it. My dad said he'd get it, but just wandered around following it, hands in his pockets. Finally, my girlfriend raised her voice, telling them firmly to pick up the kitten and leave. I returned to console her, and at that point, they finally picked up the kitten and headed out. I followed them to make sure they were leaving. My mom was already in the car, and my dad lingered at the door. While saying goodbye, he apologized, saying my mom was sorry as well. He asked, "Will you ever want a new cat?" I replied, "I'm not sure, but if we do, it won't be that kitten." After that, I went back inside to console my girlfriend. Now my parents are messaging me, first trying to pretend it didn't happen. Then me asking for space with them responding I'm in a mood over a kitten and it was out of love. I've asked them for space, but they aren't respecting it. Meanwhile, my girlfriend is worried that she overreacted and lost her composure. I can't shake the feeling that I messed up with my parents. Their persistent messages begging me to reconnect only make things worse. I keep questioning if I overreacted to what they did. Am I the jerk? Our next story is, am I the jerk for not lending money to my friend? About a week ago, it was announced that a famous K-pop group was going to come to my country and hold a concert in April. My 23-year-old female friends, a 21-year-old female, and D, a 19-year-old female, were so excited about this, and so was I because I just had begun to listen to them. But we were anxious about the whole thing because literally we had 4 days to prepare ourselves. A told our friend group that she was going to find a way to get money. So I didn't know how she thought that I was going to be the one to lend her the money for the ticket. I told her I was going to the concert thanks to my mom because she gifted the ticket to me as a Christmas present. Otherwise, I wouldn't have thought of going. She then asked her parents for money. At first, they gave her hope, but when she asked them a second time, they told her they didn't have any, so she wasn't going. My friends and I felt bad for her since she's been a fan of the K-pop group for years, and this was her only chance of seeing them live. I talked to my mom about the situation, and without me saying anything, she agreed on lending her money for the ticket. I immediately refused because 1, I didn't know if she was going to pay me soon, more like her parents were, since she doesn't have a job and they can't afford it right now, and 2, she's had weird behavior towards me and our friend group that for me is getting annoying since we haven't been bad to her in any way. And I have a little update from when I started writing this. A has told D that she hates me but didn't give out a reason for it, but I'm assuming it's because I'm going to the concert and I think she's jealous of me. Not only this time, but has always been. Maybe it's because we have different lifestyles and from what she's told me and the rest of our friend group, her parents are not loving and caring and mine are in comparison. But I don't know. I didn't tell my friends my mom wanted to lend A money and I feel a little guilty because it's like I'm crushing her dreams. But at the same time, she hasn't been a good friend to me. Am I the jerk? Lovely Zoe commented, "NTA, you don't owe her a thing, especially if she's acting like that with you. Usually, concerts are announced way before the release of the tickets. If she really wanted to go, she could have got a part-time job to save some money. Our next story is, am I the jerk if I refuse to attend family dinners with my gram till she respects to not touch my back? I, 17-year-old female, have grown up with a back condition that has made it sensitive to touch. My grandmother touches it constantly after being told to stop by me, and she still does it. My family moved 30 minutes away from her, which made it easier for me to not have to see her a lot, making it easier for me to deal with having issues with my back. I just found out that she's moving into town, so she's closer to me and my family. In doing so, she will most likely host more family dinners. Would I be the jerk if I refused to attend these dinners till she respected the fact that I do not like my back being touched? My other family members and friends all respect the fact that I do not like my back being touched. Fabulous Shallot 1413 commented, "You have two options the way I see it. One, you tell her and everyone that your personal boundaries are not being respected, and since she won't not touch your back, you can't come to events she's at. Or two, you go, and when she touches you, you make a huge stinky deal out of it. Oh, ouch, Grandma, that hurts. Why do you keep touching me? Shed some tears. I've been begging you for years to stop. Then go into the other room for a while. That might shock her into compliance. Our next story is, am I the jerk for asking my wife to wear a hairnet while cooking? So here's the situation. My wife loves to cook, and I truly appreciate her meals. They're delicious. However, her hair keeps getting in the food. It's long and tends to shed a lot, so it's almost a guarantee that I'll find at least one strand in every meal. I've tried to casually mention it a few times, saying stuff like, "Oh, looks like your hair wanted to join dinner," but it hasn't made much of a difference. Finally, I decided to ask her to wear a hairnet while cooking. I figured it was a practical solution. She got really upset, saying it's embarrassing and that I'm making her feel like she's gross. That wasn't my intention. I just don't love finding hair in my food. She says I'm overreacting and should just deal with it since it's not that big of a deal. I think it's a simple request to improve both of our dining experience. Now, I'm second-guessing myself because I don't want to hurt her feelings, but I also don't think I'm being unreasonable. Am I the jerk? Mobile_following_198 commented, not a jerk. I have long hair, like down to my butt. I shed a lot. I don't shed into my food while I cook. Shedding into all the food is highly unusual. She's either being unhygienic with her hair placement during cooking, or she may have a health condition that's making her shed more or not notice things. It's also completely reasonable that you don't have hair in your food. Alternatively, you can cook, but since she likes to cook, this may be a less desirable alternative. If she has really long hair, maybe suggest a claw clip or pulling her hair back in a ponytail or something while cooking. It's a pretty normal thing for most people with long hair to do while they cook. Not just for hygiene purposes, but also general comfort. Our next story is, am I the jerk for demanding one-on-one time with my mom because her friend's autistic daughter is living with her? Small details have been changed. Here's some background. So my mom's best friend is a very wealthy, posh woman. My mom's best friend has a highly autistic child. I'll call her Flower. She leaves her daughter with my mom often to babysit. Flower can do things for herself, but she can't live on her own, work, has no concept of money or time, and communicating is very challenging. So I live overseas and I'm going back home for the holidays. Because I know how clingy Flower is with my mom, I asked her not to plan sleepovers while I'm there, or at least only have one while I'm there. She kinda agreed and quickly changed the topic. I found this reaction a little weird, so I started to take account of how often Flower was by mom. I didn't ask right out, but just noticed if I hear her whenever I called my mom. I noticed Flower's voice every time I called. Every time! A month before my flight, I asked her point blank if she told Flower that she won't have that many sleepovers with my mom while I was home. She avoided the question, but I kept asking and not letting her change the subject. Flower's been living with her for the past 3 years, and she wasn't really gonna tell me because she expects me to just accept it and be okay with it. Basically, Flower has refused to go home. My mom and her parents have just let her stay with my mom after she has a breakdown. Now, before Reddit goes down a rabbit hole of why she doesn't want to go home, I'll explain why she says she doesn't want to go home. For the most part, it's because my mom lets her drink soda and run around in hippie pants. Her parents coddle her, expect her to eat healthy, and won't let her run around in PJs all day. Obviously, I don't know how it is to be autistic, but she has tantrums when she doesn't get her way. And because she's autistic, she gets away with a lot. She's not stupid and can also manipulate my mom easier than her parents. I'll be staying with my mom as I always do, but Flower pushes buttons and can be overwhelming for me. I don't think she always pushes my buttons on purpose, but she can be very selfish, so I'm not hopeful it will go that well. My mom gets defensive when I ask her for one-on-one time. When I ask over message, she avoids the question. When it's over the phone, she changes the subject or gets defensive. She's agreed to do one thing with me and says we can do a gym class together. This only reason she says we can do that specific gym class alone together is because Flower doesn't like it. And still, Flower has to come with, even though she waits in the waiting room. She can and has been home alone, but because she gets extremely upset, my mom just caves. I'm flying home in 3 weeks and I keep thinking about this. My mom has basically added a new family member and expects me to be okay with it. Boris Lovechild commented, "Not a jerk, but I get the sense that there's a lot going on that either OP is not admitting or not aware of. I suspect that OP's mom is being paid to take care of Flower. I mean, put the pieces together. Flower's parents are posh and wealthy. Flower is living with OP's mom for the last 3 years. No way money is not being exchanged for this to happen. Not judging here, but it looks like OP's mom is too embarrassed to admit the transactional nature of the relationship. Flower's parents get cheap childcare because you just know that proper full-time care for Flower would cost a bomb, and their autistic daughter has a 24-hour carer. Asleep_carpet4889 commented, "I do hope Flower's parents are paying my mom, or at least paying for all the Flower's things, but she hasn't said anything about it. My mom already has a job, but thank you for the perspective." Our next story is, am I the jerk for having attitude with my mother after she didn't help me when I fainted because she thought I was faking it? Today, I, 15-year-old female, was helping my parents and holding up a very heavy object for them when all of a sudden my vision started going black and I thought I was going to throw up. I remember asking my mom, please take this from me. I have to let it go. I don't feel so good. I'm actually sick and I think I'm gonna faint or throw up. I can't see. She probably thinks I fake other illnesses when in reality I just have a stupid weak immune system. So I proceed to black out on the concrete and come to my senses after some time. This is outside in front of our house where they're working and my mom could clearly see me. Not sure how long I was out, probably a few minutes. With my ear and body hurting like heck, I'm completely out of it and stumble into a piece of grass 20 or so feet away and conk out again. At this point I thought I was going to throw up. Wake up again to some people walking by and I try to rush inside and lo and behold, meet my mother. I say I think I fainted and she just tells me to go outside and cool down. Like, go lay in the grass? So I just left and it took a while before I felt okay. I also realized a few minutes later I had gotten a pretty significant scrape on my back too. I later confronted her about it, asking why she didn't help me, and she said she thought I was faking it because I didn't want to hold the object up any longer and my fall looked too graceful, slow for it to be real. Plus, it's the first time this happened. I got mad and started crying because it felt like she didn't care. Now I don't want to talk to her. Am I the jerk? Edit. Thanks for all the support, guys. My mother apologized but didn't say anything else. Seems like I was out for about a minute on the concrete. Not sure how long on the grass though. I believe I fainted due to multiple reasons. Just started period, so low iron. Took slightly above the limit dose of zinc and some vitamins yesterday, and I have a slight cold. The object was a big door to those who worried if it fell on me. It didn't. I feel fine now. I probably won't go to doctor. Thank you all. Your comments help. Another edit. Convince my mother to set up an appointment after some pushing. She tells me it will be nothing though. Alganarubia commented, NTA, and please go see a doctor. It's not normal to feel faint from just lifting something heavy. It could be something as simple as anemia, but it could also be much worse. Better to get it diagnosed sooner rather than later. Also, your mom is terrible. If she's just as dismissive when you ask to go to the doctor as she was about this incident, tell an adult you trust about this and see if they'll take you. Your dad, a relative, a teacher, a friend's parent, really anyone will do as long as you trust them and they take you seriously. With that being said, that's all the time we have for today. If you enjoyed today's video, drop a like and comment below. And if you want to check out our other videos, click the video on the right. With that being said, I'll see you all next time.